When I started my Mould King QJ video almost a year ago, I didn't realize that it would take off in popularity, and I want to thank you viewers for making that and this video possible. Today we'll be taking a look at Mould King set 12002, the CRH2 Bullet Train. I had not planned to look at this set, but for the first time ever, I have a sponsor. Barweer is an export company that makes China's building toys available to fans all over the world. They have their own factory in China and warehouses in the United States, United Kingdom, Europe, and Australia. Founded by brick fans 5 years ago, their website has just about anything made by Lepin, Mould King, and more. I want to thank them for mailing me this set to review, and all I ask in return is that you go to their website, barweer.com, to check them out. I've included a link to their website in the description, and if you find a set that you want to buy, use code ToledoRails-Barweer for 5% off your purchase. With that out of the way, let's take a look at the CRH2. A money-saving measure is to not include a box, opting instead for a tightly wrapped bubble brick. This wrap set looks like it's delivered goods from Miami Vice rather than a building toy, but I digress. For set 12002, it comes in 6 numbered bags, with electronic pieces in smaller individual bags. Sections of pin track were not wrapped together and fit compactly within the brick. On top sat the instructions with stickers inside. With all the prep work out of the way, it was time to build. The first bag contains all the plates that you would need, as well as a pile of 1x1 and 1x2 plates that will be sourced from throughout the build. The bricks are identical to Lego apart from the branding on the plastic, and I found that Mould Kings are stiffer and stay together easier. Now, this is a dual-edged sword because pulling the bricks apart, even with a brick separator, is quite the challenge. Assembled, the first bag contains the frame of the motor car, as well as some of the seating area for the passengers. Next up was the bullet nose in the second bag. It was a treat to assemble the curved nose of the CRH2, rather than relying on one large part common to LEGO starter sets. The last set that did this, as far as I'm aware, was LEGO 7938 Passenger Train from 2010. The nose relies on a fair amount of snot and more advanced building techniques that I would not recommend for beginners. At the end of the second bag, the sides of the locomotives are built up, and the dreaded battery box was fitted. Or so I thought. During work on the third bag, I realized that my battery box was off one stud, and pulling off the bricks to refit it was more of a headache than I imagined. Mould King has a tendency of making the battery box important to the structural integrity of the build, unlike LEGO, who will incorporate, at most, smaller details on top of the battery box that you could mask over if you wanted a dummy unit. But as long as this one runs, it won't bother me too much. Third bag finishes up the power car with 8 reclining seats, a beverage stand, and other details. The underframe has one powered bogie that looks very familiar to any LEGO train user, as well as a dummy bogie for the rear of the car. After assembling the roof, I noticed that there was no mention of how or where to install the LED lights anywhere in the instructions. I guesstimated how to from the cover of the instructions and hoped they would stay in place. With the power car assembled, it was time to move on to the trailer. Bags 4 and 5 seemed unnecessarily divided out so there was an even number per car. The fourth bag just consisted of the underframe of the trailer coach, including the floor detail. It was inside the fifth that the sidewalls really took shape. I noticed this section took much longer to build, not because of the complexity, but because of the quantity. Mould King models will use a lot of repetitive builds, particularly when it comes to seats or interior on rolling stock. The end result looks fairly prototypical, but it can drag out the build process and feel more monotonous at times than fun. The seating area, after a longer focus on it, looked great, and the next task was building up the vestibules. One end had a small pantry area with a pop machine, and the other had a bathroom complete with toilet and sink. Bag 5 ended with the underframe skirting. Now, logically, after adding the underframe detail, the bogies would be next. The identical wheel design was the simple dummy power bogie with Technic axles connected to the wheels. I made sure to give each wheel a spin test, and I found that some pins sat more stiff in their holes. Thankfully, Mould King is very generous with their extra parts, and I was able to make it so the trailer car's bogies were almost free spinning. The roof came together quickly with 3 removable sections. The first is over the pantry area, the second over the seats, And the third, over the toilet, is the pantograph. Now, compared to LEGO's Crocodile locomotive from 2019, this pantograph has one arm lifting up the section per its prototype. Much like the QJ model, the stickers for the CRH2 were not transparent, which should not be an issue on a white bullet train. However, the white from the sticker paper and the brick did not line up, and it does look a little silly. After a few hours of building, it was almost time to test the CRH2, but first we needed some track. Each Mould King set includes an oval of track, consisting of 16 curves and 8 straights. These are direct clones of LEGO's track without the brand stamped into the studs. Anyone who has dealt with real LEGO track knows the struggle of removing the dummy pin that holds the sections together, and the bootleg version is pretty much the same affair. I'd recommend that parents or any adults help remove these pins for younger builders, as it's a challenge even for us. When removed, the track links snugly together and forms a 25 by 45 inch loop. Mould King models include a pylon of transparent bricks that are meant to be concealed on the roof of the locomotive to press down onto the battery box. Turn on the locomotive, you press down, and bam! There are the lights. The lights instantly turn on, and they are bright. The 4 LED lights are positioned correctly, but they make the solid bricks look clear. Given my track record with these lights, I'm not fazed, as they are quite powerful, but I'm just relieved that they work. Going for a quick test on the workbench, the controller has one speed setting, which is full throttle. Now in this shot, I'm not holding the train back. It's slipping and struggling to start with one coach. Looking through the pile of spare parts, we can see that Mould King provided rubber bands for traction tires, which after installation, made life easy. The fact that the CRH2 only has one speed is a little bit of a letdown. The motor bogie, if rigged with a power functions receiver, can run perfectly fine with speed steps for additional fun, but it feels like a little bit of a wasted potential with Mould King. All things considered, this is one of the very few train sets out of China where there's an original build and is not a ripoff of an already existing product or LEGO idea. As such, it does deserve praise for being an original model and looks extremely faithful to its prototype. Now, I did not enjoy the imperfections on the bricks, the lights were a little annoying, and the stickers and motor performance, but there is potential to be had. At $88, this set has room to grow, and with the 12002 CX set, you can get a dining car and 8 additional straight tracks for an additional $40. So for just over $200, you could invest in a complete 5-car bullet train and a large oval compared to a standard LEGO train set. Mould King's value for money makes this a desirable set, but it lacks an overall polish that makes this good model great. I'd like to thank Barweer for sponsoring this video, and if you want to own your own Mould King 12002, check them out at barweer.com and use coupon code ToledoRails, no space, -Barweer for 5% off your purchase. Be sure to leave a like and a comment letting me know what you think of the set, and I'll see you in the next video.